Adam, I'm a little flustered, I won't lie. So I was sat down here with I'm a bit ill. I think I've got COVID. My grandparents have been ill, and now I've got ill. So I had a nice little berry tea. I'm ready to go, and I get a notification saying you've just purchased something for $1.99 on Amazon. Like, no, I haven't. So I text my dad, my mum, my brother, and none of them have purchased anything. And I go onto my Amazon, and someone has rented a copy of 2024's Garfield film for $1.99. Someone has hacked into my Amazon Prime and bought a rental copy of the Garfield film from this year.
If you're going to hack someone, at least make it worthwhile. My lord, read the reviews, guys.
Right? It's Prime Day. Like, make the most of those big discounts. But nuh-uh. Fucking Garfield. That was the most stressful but wildly entertaining 20 minutes of my life. Let me tell you.
Great. And I mean, yeah. You're going to have another wildly entertaining and stressful 20 minutes talking about Joker in this episode. So, listeners...
I think we're going to be talking about it for longer than 20 minutes.
Yeah. Strap yourselves in. Hello and welcome on back to Move It Up podcast. It's episode 35 and we're your hosts, me, Adam Barlow.
And me, Alfie Walker. We'll change that in the edit, guys. You won't know that happened there, but I went blank for about 10 seconds.
I was going to say, because it didn't look like you were lagging. You just sort of like froze.
No. Just a pause in time there. Hi there, yeah, I'm Alfie Walker. I'm the other co-host of this podcast we call Move It Up.
Right, this week, I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a very, very interesting one. So you picked a good episode to drop in if you're a first-time listener here. We're going to be talking about Joker, Folie, Deux, which has had people up in arms with pitchforks practically. It is a wild film.
Yeah, crazy reviews on this one. Taken less money than Morbius in its opening weekend.
Yeah. I feel like I'm being trolled. Surely it's done better than what's reported.
We'll see our opinions. Adam is a really big fan of it. I appreciate everything it did, and I did enjoy it. So we'll talk about it, but boy, I've seen so many people being like, I hate this film, which is wild. But yeah. So we're going to talk about that. That'll be a fun half hour to discuss.
But before that, I saw an early screening of Transformers 1, which is actually an early review for once. This is going to come out on the day that you're listening to the podcast, so we are so in sync. We're proper news journalists.
Proper film journos, yeah. Right?
Film journos. There we are. Move It Up, the hub of breaking news. So, yeah, let's just jump into it. Let's get into the reviews. This is Transformers 1. Right, so the Transformers franchise. Alfie, have you seen any? What do you think of them?
I've seen maybe 1, 2, potentially 3. Once Shia LaBeouf's gone, I've not seen any of them.
Okay.
That's not because of my preferable opinion of Shia LaBeouf, because I don't have one. But just in general, I remember seeing the first one. I remember my dad being pumped to go watch it at the cinema with me. Like, obviously, he's a 70s, 80s kid, so he was like, oh my God, Transformers. And I remember seeing the second one, potentially the third one. Michael Caine in one of them, is he?
Oh my God, I hope he is. Let me check that. Hang on. We can always ask him about it later if he drops in. But
who plays Winston Churchill in like the fourth one?
It's not a historical drama, is it? I always thought it was some Michael Bay.
Winston Churchill is definitely in it.
Michael Caine?
Yeah. Transformers The Last Night. Yeah, I thought so.
I know... who's the guy that does the cooking? Sort of like Jeff Goldblum. Stanley Tucci. Yeah, he's in it. Yeah.
Yeah, Merlin. As Merlin,
of course.
Good.
Right.
Wild.
For me, Transformers has always been something I've kind of just never had anything to do with, if I'm honest. I saw monster trucks, which for some reason just came into my head. Like, you remember that film where there were it had a similar Transformers vibe. It was very overproduced, so it was sort of like a B movie. And there's trucks, but actual monsters are in them, making them go and like holding the wheels on.
Yeah,
I saw that on a scout camp. But I mean, that's not related. But I guess it's similar to Transformers in a very...
It's Cars, yeah.
It's Cars, yeah.
I've seen the Pixar film Cars 1, 2 and 3. I guess they're kind of Transformers, aren't they?
Yeah, you're... Hey, maybe the Transformers were the mates we made along the way.
Exactly.
So Transformers, I have no real connection to the franchise, if I'm honest. But I was aware that Transformers 1 is... well, as the name suggests, is the first one. So I was like, right, don't need to see anything else. Great, sign me up. And it had good reviews as well. People have been saying it's the best animated film of the year so far. Having said that, having now seen it, for me, I think Inside Out 2 is still on top, but Transformers 1 a very close second. So I guess the main point of contention for this film is the fact that they didn't get the actual voice actor for Optimus Prime back. I'm blanking on his name, but he's got a very iconic voice and has always sort of done the voice of this character, since the dawn of time, I guess. But they've instead...
Since the dawn of time.
Yeah. Is that a line from Transformers?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, one of them says it at some point.
I reckon. In one of those films, they definitely say that.
Since the dawn of transforming... Autobots roll
Megatron.
Megatron. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, the voice cast in this is it's as animated films usually are nowadays. It's full of celebrities and people that are going to sell it to the parents as well as the kids. So you've got Chris Hemsworth doing an American accent, and there's a couple of points where you do kind of hear it. There's a little bit of Thor in there, but I would say for the most part you kind of forget that it's Chris Hemsworth. It's a very convincing American accent, I would say. You've got Brian Tyree Henry as Megatron. You've got
Megatron.
I've just seen Josh Cooley, who directs it. He's playing Skywarp. I don't remember him in the actual film, but Josh Cooley is the director of Toy Story 4. So
wow.
He's got
that's cool.
He's got some gravitas to him as a animation director. I think Toy Story 4, it's needless, but for what it is, I think
still a fun little romp.
Yeah.
Still did its job kind of thing.
It's well made. You've also got Scarlett Johansson in there as Alita 1. John Hamm playing the evil Sentinel Prime, and Steve Buscemi playing Starscream. This is the one character that I do remember, I think, when I sort of would, as a kid, I'd stray onto, I don't know, Cartoon Network or whatever, and I'd just see the odd sort of 10-15 minutes of an episode. And I do remember Starscream being like Megatron's right-hand man, right? And he's got the weird voice. Steve Buscemi, very well cast, I think. You also got Lawrence Fishburne in there. Again,
God, this cast is stacked.
This guy gets around. Lawrence Fishburne in Megalopolis last week. Again, he's playing the same role here as he does in The Matrix.
And that he does in Megalopolis.
Yeah. I'm convinced he just is on a treadmill and he's got AirPods and he just phones in every performance, bless him. But yeah. Sorry, Keegan-Michael Key I missed out. He plays Bumblebee, which has always been, as an outsider, my favourite of the Transformers, I think, just design-wise. And I'm aware he speaks to his radio. In this, he's talking, so I'm not sure how that works, but maybe, I don't know, maybe someone's going to rip out his vocal cords in a later film. I'm not sure if that's...
Yeah, I genuinely think that's it, if I remember rightly. Yeah,
right.
I think he loses his voice box at some point.
It's quite sad. Although, well, you'd think though, them being machines, how hard is it to replace it? Just get Siri to do the talk or something. Anyway, so that's the cast. As you said, pretty stacked, pretty impressive. It's distributed by Paramount Pictures, and I think Michael Bay is a producer on this. And I didn't know this until I saw the credits, but Mr. Steven Spielberg is in there as well as a producer, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's got his seal approval on it as well. So it is a decent, very solid family film. I think compared to the average children's film nowadays, it's got some dark themes. It basically tells the origin story of the Transformers world. I should have looked up the technical terms for the name of the planet and their sort of currency and food that they have. But if I'm honest, I've already forgotten it, and I saw it in less than 24 hours. So, yeah. like I'm 21 years old, and I know I said I have no real connection to the franchise, but I really did find it difficult to keep up with some of the keywords in this, like the names of the
Transformers lore.
Yeah, I felt myself being a bit left behind. The opening sequence, about 5 minutes in, you've already had in the opening 5 minutes, I would say you have 3 minutes of that is someone talking incessantly about lore and about their goals, and I'm like, whoa, okay. I was also sat quite close to the screen, so it's just like hitting me in the eyes. I was like, what the
It's
hell?
very colourful and very shiny.
Yeah. So that's what I had to deal with. But yeah, I had a really good time actually, and it was a My Limitless screening, so bear in mind that the audience was full of adults. But I really felt that we were all engaged with it, and sort of have had the patience for it, and sort of knew what we were getting ourselves into. And it was very funny. Keegan-Michael Key is doing a great job in there. Gets loads of laughs. I think pretty much every line he says is a joke, and it actually really works. It doesn't get exhausting. Because I think, as I say, there are darker moments when Megatron goes down the path that we all know he's about to. And the way that the characters slowly fall out, but it is still relatable, and you totally see how these two best friends, fall apart. I think it's done very well, very maturely for a children's film, and it hit me in the feels. I didn't tear up or anything, mainly because I really need a wee, so that was my main concern in the last 30 minutes. But other than that, I very much enjoyed it. And if you're listening to this on the Friday, then go out, if there's an evening screening, go and check it out. I'd recommend it. Definitely one of the stronger animated films of the year so far. I forgot to say a bit of the animation I really liked, but I'll just tell you. There's a bit where it's literally in the opening 5 minutes, where Optimus Prime is broken into this place, and he's got a bit of information on this data card, and then the security come up to him and say, "You're not even a Transformer. What are you doing? Just get out of here. You can't even outrun us. Just hand yourself in or whatever." And and he goes, "Oh yeah, watch this." And then the music kicks in, and it's very fast paced, but I'm going to describe it slowly. But it all happens in like 5 seconds, 5-10 seconds. Like his body starts like moving around, and it's like tight shots of his like legs going together, and like he's about to transform into a truck. And then it does a wide shot, and he just starts legging it. It really made me laugh. It's shot like
That's
a sitcom.
great.
It's really good fun.
That's a great switch and bait.
And from that point on, I was like, yeah, I'm locked in.
That's class.
I genuinely would recommend it. I think you and your brother would have a very nice time.
Joker, I barely even know her. What is this film called? How do you pronounce it? Jokey? Is it Jokey?
Jokey.
Joker, Folie à Deux.
Folie et Deux.
So there was this guy on TikTok I saw earlier, and he went, "Joker, Folie à Deux."
Right.
That's definitely not how you say that one. Yes, the second film in the Joker Todd Phillips DC franchise thing that he's got going on, and his final one. He said he's out, isn't he? He has said he is well and truly done. Let's start with what is going on with this film. What is going on with the reviews and the hate train on it? Because my God, I don't think I've seen a film get this much. A film that is really, the first film was really highly regarded. And this film, I think, was really looked forward to. And the just onslaught of absolute hatred this film is getting is wild.
Incredible to watch, really. I can't remember a film in recent times where I felt so in the minority with an opinion on something. I think maybe the most recent time when I felt like I was a bit behind on something was maybe Saltburn, but that was the other end where I wasn't as keen on it, and Saltburn was very much like the film of the moment. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at some of the aggregator sites. 33% on Rotten Tomatoes, 5.3 on IMDb, which it's not great, but it's not terrible. 45% on Metacritic. But I mean, the headline this week has been a D on Cinema Score, And I looked this up.
Lowest ever, right?
Yeah, lowest ever for a superhero film. But
That's baffling.
moreover than that, this is according to the Hollywood Reporter. Sorry, but reported again on what is this? The Independent or the Telegraph? Yeah, Independent. Apparently, it is the second film to get a D post-pandemic. So let me just find, what was the other one? Yeah, it puts it on par with Russell Crowe's terribly rated horror film The Exorcism, which was what, last year?
Yeah, there was like 2 in a row, wasn't there? There was like The Pope's Exorcist and then The Exorcism or something. But...
Yeah. So in a post-pandemic era, it's been The Exorcism and Joker Folie that's got a D. I mean, remember how much I dragged Megalopolis through the mud? That got a D+. I mean, I'm just baffled. I really am.
What is... I'm sure everyone knows. Let's just start with, what is your relation to the first film, Adam?
Sure. So I spoke a little bit about it on the TikTok, which you can follow at Moving Up. Check a little plug.
Very good.
I don't think they noticed that. But yeah, I was a big fan of the first Joker film for 2 reasons. One, it was at that time when I was kind of getting into superhero films. I'd just come off the back of Endgame that year, and some other Marvel, huge Marvel projects. And I was like, oh, let me have a look at DC. I'd always liked Batman, and the Joker is obviously, in everyone's favourite list of villains, right? So to see a spin-off, I was very excited. I was a fan of Joaquin Phoenix because I think I'd recently watched The Gladiator around that time as well. So I was like, oh, what a neat little link that is. But it was also one of the most formative films for me, I think, as I started to explore movies in a more technical way. So I was like, oh, so cinematography and like, oh, mise-en-scene, right? I was in sixth form at the time, and I remember just seeing it at a really weird circumstance with some of my mates. We went along kind of not knowing what to expect. We knew that it had a big awards buzz, and I think it had already premiered at Cannes, and I think, did it win the Palme d'Or? It might have. But yeah, my point is basically I really obsessed over this film, not for the bad reasons that people have pointed out in articles over the last 5 years, but I wrote a lot about it. I think I wrote my first proper film review actually about it, so it's a real kind of
bit of a milestone almost. Yeah,
for sure. And I actually based some of my A-level English language project on it, and I got an A star on that. So I'd like to think that Joker is partly to credit for that.
That's 100%. I can see, like you said, if it was there in like a formative year almost, where that's where your interest was sparked in film in a big way potentially. It's crazy to see that this is one of those key things. For me, it was nothing major. I went and saw it on a whim, but I did really like it. I thought it was great. Soundtrack really stood out to me. It does a lot of old music, which I'm a big fan of. Lots of different sort of bits like that where it really sort of sparked me, and I thought the performance from Joaquin Phoenix is great, and obviously he got his Oscar for it, didn't he? Which I think is fairly well deserved. Often that's one that people do now slate a bit and say that he shouldn't have maybe won that for it, due to the kind of performance it is, but that's potentially just a bit of the Oscar prestige, isn't it, I think. But yeah, absolutely, I was a huge fan. And then we get this one, which we both weren't that hyped for, really. We both said we were looking forward to it, but we thought it would disappoint us. Give us your initial thoughts, Adam, after seeing this.
Yeah, so I mean, just to elaborate on us not being massively excited for it, the first one is such a standalone piece, right? It was very Oscar bait, if I'm being honest. I'm just thinking, like, Joaquin Phoenix's performance, one of my favourite performances in the last, in my living memory, I would say. But I did see what the article is obviously saying about the performance over the weekend of how poorly it's done, box office wise and review wise. They've all been using that photo where, in the first one where he's in the mirror and he's got his fingers in his mouth. I always thought that was a bit on the nose. Yeah. Anyway, it kind of felt like, right, this is a sequel that has definitely only been commissioned because it was the first R-rated film to break $1 billion, right? And that's totally the case, I would say. But having gone to see it on Friday, I came out feeling in a very, very much one of those cinema hazes where you're like, okay, I need to think about this for a bit. And I took sort of 30, 40 minutes just to really gather my thoughts, then made the TikTok, which again, you can listen to on App Moving Up. We are influencers now. I think we hit 35. Was it 35k? Something like that.
Yeah, the likes have slowed down, but they're still there. You still go on there, and they're still popping up every now and then. Quite impressive, that one, Adam. Well done.
Yeah, what
it's a great TikTok.
But yeah, I took some time to think about it, and I actually was like, you know what? I not only like this, I think this film is quite profound, or very profound. I felt very moved by it. I didn't cry, but I was totally engaged with the film and thinking the whole way through, and really trying to formulate my review in my head as I watched it, which I don't always do as explicitly. But I suppose I'll come back to that because I know some people have said it was boring. So maybe that's why I stayed engaged in the slower parts, because I was thinking, what do I think about this film? Whereas other people that were just watching it casually or maybe just try not to fall asleep at those points. I don't know. But I mean, the biggest compliment I can give it is I booked to see it the following day, little over 24 hours after the first viewing had finished. So, you know, to see a film that some people have called boring twice in little over 24 hours, I think is a pretty high compliment.
Quite similar to you, I think, in my initial reaction. I saw it last night, and luckily for me, maybe, I think this maybe worked in my favour, is I'd seen the bad rep, I'd seen people saying it's slow, I'd seen people saying it's not what they thought it would be, and maybe subconsciously that did help me. If I went in day one, potentially I would have been not as happy with it. But yeah, I went in, I watched it, and like you, I was formulating the review in my head, which I don't like doing. I don't like doing that at all. I'd rather watch a thing for as it is, but I knew we'd have a lot to say on this, so in my head I think I was going like, interesting decision, yeah, okay, I see why they're doing this, kind of a bit film bro-y, which I kind of hate, but
yeah.
I was doing that in my head, and I got out, and yeah, I think I just sent you a voice note, didn't I? I just said it's excellent. It's excellent. That I've got a lot of problems with it, and there is a lot I would change, but overall I think it couldn't be more fitting. I watched the first Joker today during work. It was on in the background, and it feels like the same film. It could not feel more like the same. Like I've said to you, I have a theory that people are getting the first Joker and the Robert Pattinson Batman mixed up.
Yeah,
I genuinely think people are, because that first film is slow. It's got its moments of peaks of like violence and stuff, but it is slow, it's drab, it's a character study, it's dreary, it's sad, and this is all of those things again. So I really don't get why people are so taken aback by it, because I really think it's in the same vein, and it's excellently made. I think everything about it is the cinematography, the score, the theme music, and the cartoon at the beginning. I think everything about it is so well made. But yeah, we'll get onto any issues that we do have in a minute, I imagine.
I agree with everything you said so far, so I'm interested to see where your sort of where your respect for it kind of wanes a bit. But let's kind of go through it, I suppose, beat by beat. I don't want to talk too much about spoilers, but we'll probably talk about maybe 3/4 of the film, right? So it opens with an animated section, which I thought was just goofy, fun, set the tone for the film. You know, that's kind of the broad strokes of the narrative. A bit of a recap for the first film, but also an introduction for the second. And I just thought, I'm a big fan of Looney Tunes. I don't know if I've said that on the podcast really, but huge fan of Looney Tunes and like Tom and Jerry and that kind of style of art and animation. So I thought it was a really pleasant surprise. And yeah, I think it's caught some people off.
I was completely unaware of it. Yeah, I was completely unaware of it, and it popped up, and I was pleasantly surprised. I've got a guilty pleasure for some sort of vintagey animation stuff. I think it was charming. Like you said, it set up what was going on. It gave a kind of a bit of a catch up, maybe if you hadn't seen the first one in a while, almost, or never seen the first one at all, potentially. Sort of established it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good way to introduce the film.
It's charming. It is charming. So from there, it then, the curtains draw aside and you're in Arkham Asylum, and a really damn grimy version of it as well. Like, Arkham's never a nice place.
It's different from the first film, because they go to it in the first film and it is completely different. So that was clearly a choice. Where they've overhauled the design, which fair enough. Like, I'm fine with things doing that, but it is a grim, disgusting Arkham Asylum, and it's obviously branded as Arkham Hospital, isn't it? Like,
yes, yeah. I think the opening for me is where, like, I can totally see the flaws that people have with it, but I can probably defend each one that you throw at me. So I think the opening is slow, for sure. It's a lot of shots of Joaquin Phoenix walking through and Brendan Gleeson whistling, just going like that for what, 10 minutes, right? I totally get that people might be like, okay, let's get on with it. I understand. But for me, I felt it was very efficient at dropping you in to this world again and just looking at the physical transformation of Joaquin Phoenix and watching his every glance and disgruntled look. And you could see that he's been... is it set like 2 years after the first film, right? I think.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
You totally get the energy that he's been worn down by being in prison and being constrained for 2 years, and he's just totally a shell of himself. He's not the joke... Well, he's not the Joker at that point, really. But he's also something almost lower than what he was when you first see him in the first film, I'd say. He really looks like he's skin and bones and totally worn down by life. And for me, I liked that opening sequence and him walking through, getting the medication, and meeting the abusive guards as well.
Yeah, so I thought the opening really had me, actually. I didn't think it's slow, but in a nice way. I think the first half hour really, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, like you said, meeting Jackie, Brendan Gleeson's character, who I thought was very good. He does play that character a lot. Like, you could watch him as mad-eyed Moody and in this film, and it seems like the same character, but it works. It's exactly what you want. I thought it was really good. It really set the scene. Like you said, it's been a 2-year jump, so you want a bit of... And what year was Joker? Sorry, was it 2019?
Yeah,
it's a huge time jump. Like you haven't watched this since then, so, and I hadn't at the time either. So it was nice to have a bit of setting it up. What's going on with him? Like, how long's he been in here? And like you said, the physical transformation of him, Joaquin Phoenix is so cool. Seeing him, method actor to the extreme, I guess, isn't it? Where he's really obviously starved himself and it all just looks like a bag of bones almost. I will say it really dropped for me in pacing as he left the prison. I think from the first half of the trial up until where he becomes Joker again, let's say, with the courtroom scene, this courtroom song, I really struggled. Just sort of maybe that 25-minute chunk, half an hour chunk. Yeah, I just struggled. I thought it got really slow, and it did start to lose me a little bit. But I do think it then picked straight back up after.
Okay. Yeah, I think the middle bit is slower because I suppose, like any court drama, and it's sort of hard for me to critique it because that is just what court is like, but you've got to do it in stages, and it is, right. I think maybe where this film could have done better is if there was a mystery at the heart of it, because I was thinking, okay, what's the most recent court drama that I've watched? It was last year, and it was Anatomy of a Fool, right? And that's a court drama for basically 2 hours. So I would say, maybe even a third longer than this, right? I think it's got the same runtime, actually, or very similar runtime. But anyway, my point is that has got a mystery at the centre of it, and a similar kind of idea where that character is also potentially got some mental illness in there, and you're not quite sure which way the case is going to go, which I think is, for me at least, I wasn't sure which way the case was going to go in this. I was like, oh, maybe they're going to actually convince the judge that Arthur and the Joker is a split personality kind of thing, which, on a separate note, when they introduced that, I was like, Oh, hello. Is this a bit of Moon Knight stuff coming in? A bit of a bit of DID. I quite like this, but yeah, I just enjoy mental health stuff in films like this. So I'm kind of a sucker for courtroom drama already. But anyway, to get back to my point, I do think that this film might have been more well received and less boring for people if there was a central mystery. So if I were to rewrite the film a bit, I'd maybe make it so that instead of going straight to prison after the first film, I would have perhaps given the Joker more screen time at the start of the film, or maybe make that animation depict something else, or lead the animation into another event that he did almost on the way to prison. Maybe if he killed a few more people, just give, because I know people do want to see the Joker. It's called Joker, so I mean, fair enough. But I think possibly if they'd made another event where you haven't already seen it, because we saw the first film and we know he's guilty, right? So it's like, okay,
Yeah, there's no mystery for us at all, is there? Yeah, totally.
yeah. So I feel like if they'd withheld something from the audience and then drip fed it like most courtroom dramas would do, then it'd make more sense. So I do get that, but I still enjoyed it. I still liked it.
Let's talk about, I'd say probably one of your favourite scenes in it, and one of mine. We'll talk about the choice to turn it into a musical a little bit later, but I do want to talk about the song where he realises he is the Joker, and he's in the courtroom singing, because I think that was excellent. I think that was spot on, and you could have slid that in the first film and it would have fitted perfectly. Like, it just encapsulated him. And especially the final shot in the pitch black, and he's got like a light behind him, and the way it's lit, a gun to his head, and you see him smile as he pulls the trigger. And I thought it was so spot on, and I think it captured potentially comic book Joker, which he isn't at all in these two films. But I think the scene in the courtroom where he's singing, he does capture that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, you know that shot in Deadpool and Wolverine when they jump out the bus and it does a little sort of slow motion pan around and it's like a comic book cover? I would say the scene you've just described is as good as that. I love the choice of the song. It's on the nose, but it's like, yeah, the Joker would sing that by Shirley Bassey. Like, he probably would do that. And I mean, as you say, we'll get onto the rest of the music later, but that music number particularly for me, I think might be my favourite, because when he's waving that gun around and when he yells like, "That's the rule," I was like, that is for me quintessential Joker, and I don't think we've had that really. If we're totally honest, I don't think we've had that from any other performance. I think because
I think like Jack Nicholson, like 80s. I don't think in like, what ones have we had recently? We've had Heath Ledger, who was just a nut job. It's not comic booky Joker, is it? And then we had Jared Leto, which also is not great. And then, like we just said, with him in the first film, in the first Joker, he's more of just, it doesn't feel like a film about comic book Joker, does it? Whereas, like you just said, that scene in the courtroom singing with that final shot, I can picture Mark Hamill's voice coming out of him and it being animated, like the animated Batman show. I can just picture him whacking the judge on the head with a mallet, that kind of thing. Like, I thought it really brought that cool energy.
If I'm honest, I think that sort of, that 3-minute number is probably my favourite scene of any Joker ever. And I know that's like wildly high praise for anyone that didn't like it. They're probably going to be throwing their phone out their hand. But yeah, I stand by that. I think that's exactly what I want to see. If Joker's on screen, I want him to be saying stuff like that, to be behaving like that, to be waving his arms around and yelling every now and then, and just having a wild grin on his face while he does it. That's the Joker for me.
Let's talk about, we might as well talk about the choice to make this a musical. And it's not a film with 4 music numbers, is it? It is a musical. There is a lot of singing in this, which I was shocked by. I didn't realise there'd be so much.
I think I'm not a massive musical fan. I'll say that straight up. I've probably not even seen that many. I've seen Mamma Mia, bits of The Greatest Showman. What's another musical that I would have seen? Like my mind goes blank when I think of them. Really, I've seen a handful, but I don't really seek them out. If I'm totally honest, I know there's some great ones out there. I know that people hold some, and really revere them, but it's kind of a genre I don't really step into all that often. having said that, I do think the backlash to this has again been quite baffling to me, because as someone who's not a massive fan of musicals, I really enjoyed the musical numbers in this. I think there's probably a couple I would have cut for sure. I think there are some moments, especially in the latter sort of third of the film, when things start to get a bit more emotional, a bit more, important. With scenes with Lee and Arthur. I think, at those points, just talk, right? Which they do bring up in the film that I've seen. I think you put it in your Letterboxd review, which made me laugh. I do think moments like that, I would have just had them chat, right? But for the most part, I think the first one they ever do, when he's in the prison and he's imagining it and he starts singing it, and I love the way that Arthur sings that as well. I think Joaquin Phoenix's performance of that is excellent. It feels sort of guttural and very raw and visceral in the way that he kind of yells, and you can see his mouth.
It's like the first time he speaks in the film, right? He hardly says a word for that first portion until that song.
Yeah, pretty much. And I kind of like how I would have liked that either way, whether or not he'd done that in real life or if he just imagined it, right? Which is the case. But I just think that scene worked really well. It was a good song choice. Lyrically, again, it's on the nose, but I'm like, the Joker would sing stuff that's on the nose. Like, I don't think it needs to be massively nuanced. They didn't need to go and write original songs.
No, that would have been the worst thing they could have done.
Because I think that would have been cringy.
Yeah. I'm glad they're all big band, 1950s, 60s, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Shirley Bassey. I'm glad they're that kind of music. If they would have written original songs, which I'm guessing there's maybe one or two in here, or maybe I just didn't recognise, I couldn't tell you, but I do think I think it works. I think it's spot on, and that kind of music was in the first film as well.
Yeah.
So once again, I think it's just continuing it. I like you said though, I do think there is one too many. I would have cut the one where he's singing to Alan Partridge. I didn't like that one. What's his name?
Steve Coogan. Yeah.
Steve Coogan. Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Yeah.
And the one at the end, I didn't like until he started saying stop singing, because then I think it really portrayed, oh, okay, this is proper all in his head and he is crazy and he's really imagining it. But I would have cut 2 or 3 of them. Unfortunately, I think Gaga's numbers were the weakest, but she's not in the film much. There is clearly a lot of content on the cutting room floor for this film. There is so much in the trailers and behind the scenes that is nowhere to be found, which is really interesting.
You were saying after rewatching the first film that they needed a moment where they both go down the stairs and they're like kicking their legs out, right?
Which was in the trailer, right?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't miss it. I did notice it was missing, but I didn't need it to be in the film, if I'm honest, because I think that's a convenient parallel. In a film that has, it
would have been on the nose and fan servicey for sure.
I don't know, if it had been in there I would have liked it. If without it there I don't massively miss it. But you're right, it's interesting how much of Lady Gaga's scenes aren't in it, but there's also scenes of Joaquin Phoenix that aren't in it as well. So it seems like a film that maybe it's been revealed since, actually. I think this hasn't helped the bad press. This is a bit of an aside, but in the last few days, Todd Phillips, Lady Gaga, and Joaquin Phoenix have all sort of come out saying, oh, some days we go onto set, we'd have a script, and then one of us would be like, actually, let's not do this. Let's just do this. We'll try this. Should we do this shot? Oh yeah, it might look cringy, but let's try it. And like it felt like it was a very sort of unrestrained throw ideas at the wall and see what sticks. So I get that the kind of scattershot approach has off-put a lot of people. I think that is objectively a bad way to make a film, right? But having said all that, I need to keep reminding myself I do love this film. I think it works. Yeah. But if it doesn't, then I totally understand why it doesn't.
Yeah, so I do think it, like you said, I do think it's missing a big moment. Like it's almost a guilty pleasure, because it shouldn't be a good moment, because in that first film where he's walking down the stairs to a song by Gary Glitter, you shouldn't be clapping your hands and being like, yeah, because it's not what it's about, is it? He's just turned psycho. He's killed 4 people, killed his mum, and then he puts on clown makeup and is dancing down the stairs to music written by a British convicted paedophile. Yeah. but it's a cool moment. It is cool as. And I remember the outrage after that first film came out, and people were saying like, why the hell are you using Gary Glitter in this scene? But I think it is my soft spot for 70s music, because as soon as that scene finishes, you get another scene where they play White Room by Cream, I think it is. And once again, it's just the music does it for me. And I do think because we were teased with it in the trailer, we were missing it. I don't know if you want to talk about spoilers in 10 minutes time. Potentially I'll stamp time code it in the description, and we'll do a little maybe discussion about the ending. But I thought that scene of them walking down the stairs was going to be used in the finale, and I'll say why in a minute. But is there anything else you wanted to touch on potentially before we go into spoilers?
Probably a bit about Lee's character in general. I thought it was interesting. I noticed this as I was watching this, that they kind of flipped the power dynamic between Joker and Harley, right? So Joker was really the one that was being manipulated in this relationship, which I'm not that protective over it. Like, I'm like, if you could tell a good story with it, sure. But I am totally aware that people might be more purist, like, oh well, the Joker manipulates Harley and Harley's a nurse and then she goes psychotic because of him, and go more like the Margot Robbie, Jared Leto kind of route, right? But I mean, we've seen it in the last 10 years, and did it work out? No.
No,
so I'm glad they
people
went
hated it.
different.
In fact, yeah,
and it almost makes more sense, because I'm like, would this Joker, would Arthur Fleck do this? You know, the character that we saw in the first film, do that? Probably not. Like, I like that it kept in line with the first film. But yeah, I think Lee's character definitely could have had more to do. I think some of her musical numbers, I actually really liked the We're Gonna Build a Mountain one. I thought that was another really strong one that they did. And I've seen a couple of takes on this that I'll go into briefly. So when I was watching it, I was like, oh, because she keeps repeating that their goal after, if Arthur Fleck is to be successful in this trial, is they're going to get out and they're going to build a mountain from a little hill, right? And that's the line in the song. I was thinking, okay, they're going to build some sort of movement or some sort of, you know, mass mob of criminals, right? And we're going to build it from Arthur Fleck, and we're going to build him into the Joker, and that's going to be the film, which is kind of the overall story of the film, I would say. But then I saw another take on Twitter, which also works at the same time. And they drew upon the fact that if Harley is manipulating Joker, it's actually like there's a technical term for it in relationships where a partner kind of gaslights them into like building a future with them. So like kind of love bombing. It's a bit like that, saying, right, we're going to build him out, so we're going to do great things. I've got your baby. I've bought your apartment. Going into spoilers now, apparently, sorry. But, you know, we're going to do all this stuff. Just, you know, be you, be the Joker, be crazy. I'm crazy as well. Let's go and do this. Making all these promises, but then actually not delivering them, which, spoilers, does not happen at the end. So I like both of those takes, and I think they do work concurrently.
I think, before we go into spoilers, because I think it's worth doing this episode, but I do think she is a good actress. I do like Lady Gaga in the stuff she's in. I think she's just lacking from the film. I think for a film that, what is this? Is it 220? Yeah, 218. I think and I guess it's difficult to put her in it because it's about Joker, but I guess it's not. It's Folie, Deux, isn't it? It's meant to be about both of them. And I think she's just missing a bit. I think she's missing some screen time. Maybe rather than sticking with Joker in that courtroom for that middle section that I feel becomes a bit of a slog, maybe we, I don't know, go with Lee and see where she lives and how she's actually deluded and something like that. Do you know what I mean? I just would have liked a bit more from her. I think it just all happens a little bit fast because you obviously only see them meet twice. And then that's it. They're just, like you said, they're love bombing each other, and they're a couple. And I just think, there's definitely stuff on the cutting room floor, and there is, in classic Twitter style, there is a hashtag release the Gaga cut trending, which I wouldn't be shocked if we get, to be honest. But yeah, a great performance. I do like what she did with it, but just a bit of something missing, I think.
I would also like to say, before spoilers, that again, I do just really love this film, and I was thinking, like Lady Gaga's character in this, and like the mob and stuff that are requesting more Joker, and this is where it hit for me, sort of 2/3 of the way into the film, I was like, it was after that musical number as well that I said was quintessential Joker. I was like, give me more of this. And then I was like, no, wait, that's exactly what the film is saying. Like, the film is aware exactly of what it's doing, and it's restraining the Joker. And I think for that, people have said, oh, well, then the film's restrained, which is where I would argue, no, it's doing it purposefully. Therefore, I've got the patience for it, and I respect it, and I really like it for doing that. I think it's bold, and it's a big swing, like, as with making a musical, as with casting Lady Gaga, as with doing it as a courtroom drama, as with having all this stuff, the kind of more exciting quote-unquote fantastical elements not actually being real and just being musical numbers. I'm like, yeah, it is restrained, but it's also, it doubles for me as a story of confinement and prison reform, but it's also got the mental health stuff thrown in. And it sounds like it's a muddled mess, and it's got too much stuff going on. But for me, I just think it's a really interesting mesh and blend of lots of things that kind of feel like a ball of feelings and emotions. And I walked out and I was like, I need to untangle all of this. But I'm like, if I'd be lying if I said I wasn't totally thinking about the film and toiling it over in my mind, and it's been really all I've thought about since, looking at reviews and things like that. And I think, enough people have now pointed out that people have skipped to a conclusion and said, oh, well, there's not enough Joker, I don't like it. And I think that is, if I'm honest, what most people have done. But I just respect it massively, and I do really like it. As I say, flawed, as you've said, the issues where it's definitely been cut to bits. And we'll get onto the ending, but
imminently. Yeah. Yeah, what I do want to start off by saying is that I think Todd Phillips knows exactly what he's done with this film. Everybody loves, and I do have a slight problem with it, but like, everybody loves a villain. Everybody always roots for the villains. It's part of the fun, isn't it, of it? And the idolization of Joker in that first film is what I think has created this film. I think Todd Phillips was clearly unhappy with the way people were resonating with him, maybe, with the way that some of the audience became like the Joker fans, which are very clearly pointed out in this film. And I'm sure there's a whole bunch of like political links and commentaries you could pull on it with right wing, left wing, stuff like that, and we won't. But I'm sure there is someone who is connecting it. And I think Todd Phillips has done it on purpose to say, no, like, this man is mentally ill and you're not meant to be celebrating this person. Like, the film, both films end on That's Life, don't they, by Frank Sinatra? Yeah. And obviously way more sort of the first one, he ends obviously with him walking off into the halls of Arkham, and the second one is ended with, we'll go for spoilers now, with him dead on the floor. And I think it's quite poignant, really, saying like, no, like, this guy's a bad person, he's dead because this is the only path you could have gone with it. And I think that's true. I don't know how else you would have ended this film, because you're not going to give him a happy life, are you? He's murdered 6 people. Like, I think he knows exactly what Todd Phillips knows exactly what he's doing, and he's specifically done this in this way. And I think he kind of has said he doesn't really care about the backlash, almost, doesn't he? Like, I think he's just happy to get his thing out there and his opinion. But
well, I'd actually like to backtrack a little bit. I would say the way I've received both these films, as I said, I love a film about mental health. And I think the first film, that was my favourite part of it. Just seeing, I really felt bad for him. I didn't root for him, obviously, doing the killing, but I did really root for him to, to have some power, or, some sort of, an ability to stand up for himself, or an ability to say no to people. Just some kind of, I guess, autonomy, right? Is that the kind of right word? For him to, because he's been abused by his mum. He was abused by, the people on the street. He was abused by everyone around him, and he's a product of his environment, right? So I kind of always felt like man, this is a tragic, really sad story. And I think it's helped massively by the fact that Joaquin Phoenix decided to give him this, this impediment where he laughs and just it really broke my heart, some of the scenes in the first film. And I think to see him then have such a tough time again in this film from everyone around him, he finally has a bit of happiness with Lee, who then turns out to be completely just gaslighting him and evil. And then the guards that kind of just sarcastically make light of his situation and kind of rile him up and get him to be goofy just for their own sick enjoyment. And what's implied that they do to him at the end, and then for him to just almost die in a car crash, and then almost die in an explosion, and then to get stabbed completely unexpectedly for I think the audience and for him. I was like, man, what a realistic, gritty end to this kind of 2-film saga, right? I really felt so sad for him, and so I really think that character's so endearing. And I kind of do believe that this version of the character has a split personality in my mind. I don't think they ever really explicitly say either way. I certainly don't pick up on it in either of the watches I went to, in either of the screenings I went to, sorry. But I think the way that ends, for me, I quite liked it because it's really sad. And it didn't make me cry, but I remember just looking in his eyes and being like, man, that is a shit ending, but it's a good bad ending, if that makes sense. I just felt really sad for him, and I was like, man, I just want him to to get some help and to just go and live a life and be himself, because he realizes at the end of the film as well that he doesn't want to be Joker, which I'm totally fine with. I'm like, yeah, man, just get some food, get some get a warm house, man,
get some counselling.
Yeah, literally. and I'm like, man, but that is a pipe dream. And Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix are like, no, we're going to kill him off at the end. And I'm like, yeah, cool. That would
realistic
happen.
Yeah, it's straight
from
up
a psychopath,
isn't it?
From a psychopath in prison. And again, it brings back that whole idea of prison reform. You're just putting in loads of bad people in one place. Some people aren't necessarily as bad as others. Because I even think, maybe this is a flaw of the first film in a way. This is such a tangent now. But like I said earlier in this podcast, I do think a big way that you could fix this that would appease both me and with my minor gripes that I have with it, and other people that really don't like it, for the sake of it, give us more Joker for a bit and just make his crimes a bit more severe and make him more zany, because I almost don't feel he did enough really to warrant him to die in this way. And I think people,
the national hate, yeah, absolutely, yeah,
it would make me feel less sad about it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I still like the kind of bleak ending, and it would also give people more Joker, so it'd appease both camps, right? But I mean, when you really take a step back and be like, he killed 6 people, it's not the worst villain ever. It's pretty tame for a lot of supervillains. Very tame for a supervillain.
And 3 of them were harassing a woman on a tram, and then started beating him up. Like,
his mum
said it spot on. It's a tragedy.
Life.
His mum was vile. Yeah, his mum was abusive, and then in the first one they say her boyfriend used to abuse him as well. So that's 4 of the 6. Yeah. So who's the other one? Oh, Murray, right? And the other clown. You're right. It's a full-on tragedy, because everything he does is only because he's made to do it. You had, his mother abusing him his whole life. You had those 3 guys beat him up on the train.
Sorry, Alfie on FaceTime just spawned a thumbs up, which is quite funny.
It really threw me off. I was like, what? And then Murray takes the piss out of him live on national TV, and he kills him for that. Obviously it's blown out of proportion tremendously, but you're right, it's a full-on tragedy. And I think what you've said about him doing more murder would have ticked more boxes. I think that's what the musical sections were trying to do. I think because any new murder only happened in those musical dream scenarios, didn't they? He killed the judge, he killed someone at the court, he got killed in a dream as well. I think that's mainly the purpose for those sort of scenarios, is to keep people engaged. And maybe, like you said, maybe him and Harley do escape at the beginning and commit more murder or something. It could have done with something I do want to pick up on with rabbiting for ages, but something I do want to pick up on is I was listening to our boys Pulp Kitchen, and one of their main gripes was that they don't know what he wants, which I think is a really weird criticism, because I think it's so clear that he's just a mentally ill man who has been abused, and he thinks he's Joker one minute, and then he realizes, oh wait, this is all a big mistake. That's what I took away from it. And I think that's what you've taken away from it as well. He's not putting on Joker. I think he's clearly just mentally ill, which is what the film's trying to say. And I think to say, like, what does Arthur want is a really weird comment to have, because I don't think
it's really clear what he wants in the first film.
Yeah.
As I say, he wants a bit of I don't think he wants revenge, really. I don't know. Maybe this is a flaw of the films. Maybe Todd Phillips didn't intend this, but I almost have a third. So I know some people are like, oh, I love the film because it's a well-made film. Then you've got the camp that Todd Phillips doesn't like. That's like, I love the film because he kills people, right, or because he gets his own back. I'm almost in a third camp that I haven't really seen people discuss yet, where I just feel like I draw the line when he kills the people, and maybe this is what Todd Phillips intended, but I feel really dreadfully sad every time I watch these films, and it's almost like a weird comfort film where I sit down and I'm like, God, you're so endearing, man. Like, I really feel for you. Like, he's had such a crap life, and
you're spot on though.
But I kind of love how sad it is and how realistic it is, and for that I'm like, how many films do you see nowadays where it's just like, yeah, what a dreadful story, like, not a dreadfully told story, a really, like you say, it's a tragedy, and I take a weird sort of comfort out of it, that I'm like, oh, like I can't almost articulate how much I like it.
I couldn't agree. Rewatching the first film today emphasised that for me, because the first scene is him getting beaten up by a bunch of kids, and you're like, my God. And then, I don't know if this says more about me and my moral compass, to be honest, but when he kills the 3 men on the tram, I'm like, yeah, mate. Go for it. They're harassing a woman, and then they start beating him up and kicking him in the face, and then he shoots all 3 of them. And I'm like, mate, like, obviously murder's so bad, but there's a bit of you where you feel for him. And you're like, fuck yeah, if I was being fucking beaten up by someone, I'd want to smash him up as well. Yeah. Like,
and it's the point that he makes on the show, where it's like, if it was him dying on the sidewalk, you'd walk right over me. And I think that is one of the most meaningful lines in any of these films, you know, especially in a mainstream superhero film of all things. I just think it's so impactful, and it really does, like, it's a bit Oscar bait for sure, but I think that is a worryingly, frighteningly true statement that most people.
It's 3 yuppies that get killed, isn't it? It's 3 people of importance in a big company in office suits, and you're right. Yeah, if this homeless man clown at the beginning of the film was getting beaten up on the street, and everyone walks right past him, he's obviously an awful person, but there's just something that, I agree with you. You feel for him, and it's why you enjoy watching it.
Yeah. So
before we finish,
sorry, to go back to him dying. That's why I'm kind of like, I think that is a perfect ending, albeit such a deeply upsetting ending for me. But then the bit in the background, which I actually missed the first time round, I'm not going to lie, with the guy carving his face at the back and him laughing, I kind of blocked him out. I was like, oh, you're a dick. I just looked at Joaquin Phoenix's performance, as he kind of...
What, as he's dying? I did not catch that.
Yeah. So the guy in the back, this is what people have recently taken issue with, is that Christopher Nolan said in the first film he doesn't want this Joker to cut his mouth, right? Which is why instead he draws that blood over him at the end of the film.
With the blood, yeah.
Which Harley Quinn does in this, which I liked that moment. But people have now taken issue because the guy in the prison that kills Arthur Fleck does cut his mouth in the background while he's laughing, and then
didn't catch that.
Then it's implied that that's the Joker, or just a Joker devotee, right? Which I'm almost like, it's in the background. I can even just ignore it, but because they're not going to do a third film of this. I think maybe some people are up in arms because maybe they're like, oh my God, you're telling me that's meant to be Heath Ledger's Joker. I don't think that's at all what it's implying.
It's not what it is. No, it's the same way in the first one. I forgot that you literally see Batman's origins. You wish you see Bruce Wayne get killed and Batman begin in the famous Michael Caine quote, Batman begin. And you and the same way that Two-Face is technically in this. Like, it's just an Easter egg, I think. It's just with the slicing of the face, I think it's just a bit of a tongue-in-cheek sort of, no pun intended, like sort of grisly, look at these mental people. Yeah,
that's it. I think people have forgotten, and this is all, I think most of people's issues comes back to this first issue that has been a huge thing since 2019, since the first film, that I think has just riled people up post-pandemic and post this film releasing, is that people are like, well, if it's called The Joker, give me the Joker. Okay, valid criticism. But I can look past that. I have enough patience for this. I think it's well made, incredibly well acted. I love this film. I love the first one. I think it's, as I said, a tragic story. And it's different. It's so different and so interesting for a superhero film to go down this route. I totally have so much respect for it. And that's why I like it so much. And I do think that the ideas work. I think that it says a lot about society, which is such like a meme now. Like, we live in a society. But it's true. Like,
what you get when you cross a mentally ill loner.
I'll tell you what you get. But yeah, I kind of...
Nice little throwback with him stabbing him and him saying, you get what you fucking deserve. I quite like that. That was cute.
Yeah. Cute.
Yeah.
Aw. Look at him. But yeah, I like it, man. I think you're either in two camps. You can either look past that, which I can do quite easily, or you're going to get really hung up on it. And if that's the case, then yeah, these films will be a tough watch for you. But I can't help but say that's a you problem. Like, if you're watching a Joker film and you must have the Joker, then I'm like, okay, but it is just,
you've got
it's an artistic
Jack Nicholson
piece. Go
and a Heath Ledger and a Jared Leto and a Mark Hamill animated. There is so many other interpretations already.
Yeah.
This is good that it's done. So, do you want Heath Ledger? Is that what people want?
Yeah.
People want this guy to be a Heath Ledger style Joker at the end, because that's not what it is.
I don't think they would. If you tried to recreate Heath Ledger's Joker again, people would be like, "This is so disrespectful." So I totally understand. And
what other direction is there?
Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So there we are. I could talk about this film for another 2 hours if I'm honest, but let's just wrap it up. Joker Folie Deux, I'm a big fan. I think there's flaws in it for sure, but at the end of the day, I gave it 4.5 on Letterboxd. So go and argue with
that. So yeah, similar to Adam, I'm not as favourable. I won't lie. I gave it 3.5 on Letterboxd, which is still a good score for me. It takes a lot for me to give a film sort of 4.5. So 3.5. I do have an issue with some of the songs. I do have an issue with some of the pacing in the middle. And I appreciate the ending, and I don't know another way you could have ended it, but I do think it's a real choice of an ending. But I do not get all the hate, man. I do not get all the hate. I think it was an excellently made film, and with some great Joker scenes in it.
Right, now we've caught our breath. Let's finish this episode with a game. Alfie, this game might actually launch you into a spiral again, actually, now I think about it. But this game is called Split or Splat. Okay?
Okay.
It's a play on the Letterboxd game that we've done a couple of times on the show before. But I thought, as we're talking about Joker Folie Deux, I've also thrown in Joker. But I've also thrown in The Substance from last week and a film I would have seen called A Different Man, which is about also identity and sort of, fighting for what life you think you should have. And then I've also thrown in Split for good measure. So you've got 5 films that this could be. So to recap, Joker 2019, Joker Folie Deux, A Different Man, The Substance or Split from M. Night Shyamalan. You've got to tell me which film this review is talking about, okay? So I've got 10 and there's 2 for each. All right, are you ready?
Go for it. I'm ready.
Okay. Review number 1. This was almost really good. There were some really stunning shots here and there, and I'll admit I was spooked when the beast had happened. But like this movie did not know how to end.
It's either Split or... Oh, yeah, you're... This is difficult, actually. I'm going to say that one is Split.
Yes, correct. Well done. Nice. Okay, 1 for 1. Okay, review number 2. Lowering my score again. Fuck this movie.
Joker, Folie, and Deux.
Joker 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The hate is universal. Okay, review number 3. A dark comedy which could also be referred to as a character study that explores self-love and how society can affect your self-image. Which film is that?
I see what you're doing now, Adam. Very good. It's 10 reviews for 5 different films that can all be interchanged. I'm going to go Substance.
I'm afraid that is A Different Man. The film that neither of us have seen.
It could have been so easily any of the other 4.
Okay, review number 4 are we on? New Year, New Me.
Substance.
Yes, yeah, well done.
Yes.
Okay, review number 5. My sexy aesthetic is highly synthetic. Fuck my genetics.
Substance?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, nice.
Did you read that? Okay, review number 6. I was in the ER a few days ago, and this is what I come out to.
A Different Man.
Folie à Deux. Sorry.
Folie à Deux.
Review number 7. I broke up with my boyfriend after watching this, lol. Brackets, I'm not joking.
Joker.
Folie à Deux.
Oh, goodness.
Review number 8. My favourite part of this movie was about half an hour from the end when I remembered I bought a Twix.
What a great review. That's great. Is it Joker, Folie à Deux? We completed that one.
It is Split.
Split's quite good. I remember liking Split.
Yeah, well, maybe it was a really great Kit Kat or Twix rather. Okay, 2 more reviews. Literally me when it's my turn to do the dishes.
A Different Man.
Joker, I'm afraid.
Fuck's sake.
And the final one. This is an easy one. The Substance, but for boys.
A Different Man.
Yes, correct.
I got 3 out of 10.
Did you like that review? Did you like that,
Yeah,
that
good.
game?
Very silly, funny. Like, it took me about 2 reviews to realise, oh, okay, these are all interchangeable. It could be about any film.
I like that there was also 2 for each, to imply that there's like a split personality for each of the reviews. It works on multiple levels, guys. Kind of like Joker, Folie à Deux, but
Yeah. But you're too dumb to realise that.
Yeah, I guess you'll all hate this game.
And before we end the podcast, is it worth reading out a couple of the reviews we had sent in for Joker, Folie à Deux?
Yes.
You had a couple, so we're already at about an hour and 20 minutes, Adam, so we might as well go the whole hog and read out the viewers' submissions.
Yes, so we've got a bit of viewership involvement this week. Let me just find some of them. I put a poll out on the story asking for people's impressions of Joker, Folie à Deux because we knew that it would be quite divisive. And yeah, we wanted to try and reflect other people's opinions in this as well, seeing as it's such a big part of the discourse around this film. But here we go. This is from Lewis. Whereas the first film was a complex and unique portrayal of a flawed but understandable protagonist, the second muddled its mental health focus. The cardinal sin here, though, is that it's immensely boring. It sets out to be a musical, but is completely tonally the same as its predecessor, just without a reason to exist.
I don't disagree with what Lewis is saying there. I wouldn't say it's totally boring. I was quite into it, like I said, until there is a chunk in the middle for about half hour where I really zoomed out. But overall, I'd say I was quite in it. But I see what you're saying. I do see a lot of the criticism that people have got.
We've got this one from Jay. He said, right, where do I start? Wasn't the happiest about this film. Felt the pacing was really long. It seemed really stretched out. To be fair, I also thought the plot wasn't that strong. Bit of a shame as I loved the first Joker, but this one ain't the best. And then he checked, is that okay, Adam? I know you really like the film.
He's like, can I still be your friend, Adam?
Yeah. Again, I think the pacing is just such a sticking point for a lot of people in this film, but I had a lot of patience for it. Maybe that's just me. This one here from Winona. She said, I didn't like that it was basically a musical. I found it got very repetitive and frustrating that they couldn't have a conversation without singing at each other.
Yeah.
She loved the vintage cartoon opening though, and I'm a sucker for a trial scene. I would have loved more of that. I did feel that the ending was quite abrupt also.
Yeah, I if I had to, rather than chatting to you for an hour, if I had to do my review in a paragraph, that would basically be mine, I think.
Fair enough, yeah. Then we've got a final one. Josh Brooker, friend of the show.
There we go.
He's written a full-on email, bless him, which I don't think we have time to read, but I'll give you the broad strokes of it if I just find it quick.
You can read it if you want.
Shall I read the whole thing?
Yeah, we're already deep, so we might as well do this as a full-on special.
Why not? He always puts a lot of effort into his writing. I love the way that Josh writes. Which I told him last night. I can't compliment him again. Right, here we go.
Ironically, we usually send him to see shit films for us, but this is not a shit film that he's seen. So
here we go. Strap yourselves in. Film as a medium is incredibly divisive. If you show any film to a crowd of 100 people, even universally beloved films, you will have a handful of naysayers and haters. But occasionally films crop up that are intensely divisive on a much wider scale. Usually these sorts of films fall into two camps. Overly pretentious tripe fawned over by cinephiles and film bros, cough, Megalopolis, cough. or films that can be summed up in a quote from Back to the Future. I guess you guys aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are going to love it. Which, I mean, I think is, Joke Folie.
Yeah, spot on there, Josh, well done.
Which is what, Josh goes on to say that is his opinions of Joke Folie Deux. Although his phone keeps auto-correcting it as Joker fillet a duck.
fillet a duck.
So he said, going into the film, he was fully aware of the poisonous bile that seemed to froth from most reviews he encountered online and in real life. In fact, going into it, the only two positive reviews he'd seen were from Mark Kermode of a different podcasting parish and one Adam Barlow, and in brackets, who's he? And as I sat in the Cineworld seats on that fateful Saturday lunchtime, I waited in bated breath for the point in which the film was supposed to become boring and or sacrilegious. I waited and waited and waited and waited. The film remained resolutely interesting. By the time the credits rolled, I was wondering whether I'd seen a totally different film. I'd even go as far as saying that the parts of the film I would go as far to say I loved. Sorry, that there were parts of the film. The film is brazenly provocative, audacious, and most importantly, original in its approach. My main issue with the first film is how liberally it borrowed in terms of plot and atmosphere from films like Taxi Driver and especially The King of Comedy. But seeing how heavily this film was willing to play with its form, throwing in a cartoon opening, musical sequences that grew bolder and more audacious as the film carried on. Take a sequence, don't worry it's in the trailer, not a spoiler, like Joker and Harley's dance on the rooftop, overlooked by the Gotham skyline and lit not just by the night sky, but the neon signage of the Hotel Arkham. Just absolutely dazzling. Combine it all with intrepid fearlessness around playing with fans and audiences' expectations, and it's hard not to be won over and have total respect for the filmmakers. It is painfully obvious exactly why the film has upset, angered, and offended so many fans of the first film. It's hard to explain why without spoiling the ending of the film, but I think anyone who sat through the film will know what I mean when I say the last 30 minutes or so are what ultimately defines the film in so many ways. It is ultimately clear that the film's director Todd Phillips was seeking to correct the rampant misinterpretations around the first film. Imagine creating a film centering on a person failed by society who ends up with a split personality that goes on a rampage, and having the film's messaging around the importance of protecting vulnerable people in society hijacked by incels. Given that, it comes as absolutely no surprise that the film treats the interpretation of the character with the delicacy of trying to clean a stained glass window with a sledgehammer. and that's not to knock the film at all. If anything, I was more won over by this film than the first because it's willing to focus on the split in Arthur Fleck and how easily it could have been exacerbated and manipulated by people around him for their own gain, not their own concerns for the man himself. I could expand on this further, but doing so would not only lead to a long email ripped to your vocal cords, but also spoil the ending. He's got another paragraph. We may as well. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, go for it. I'm enjoying it.
I could also rant about how fundamentally misunderstood the film is, but I will leave on one final point. The cinema score rating. Yes, in the eyes of their system, this film is somehow worse than both Madam Web and Megalopolis. But when you look at other films with the D rating on their system, it is mainly absolute dreck and rubbish, like the likes of which could turn a person off cinema for life. But among them are films like American Psycho or The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Both films that were misunderstood and criticised on initial release that became more widely appreciated years down the line. I firmly believe that Joker, Folie, Deux will be like both of these films in years to come and be firmly appreciated for what it is, even if the hypocrisy of people wanting more adventurous and risk-taking superhero comic book movies yet hate when those sorts of films come out hasn't worn off quite fully by then. In conclusion, Joker, Folie, Deux is a great movie, undeserving of the hate bestowed upon it. Lots of love to the best film podcast on Spotify.
Oh. So concise, Josh, and you just did in 5 minutes what we spent an hour and 40 trying to do there. So spot on. maybe this podcast should be handed over to you because I couldn't have summed that out better. What were the two films that you listed at the end there that weren't appreciated in the day?
American Psycho and the Wes Anderson film. The Life Aquatic.
So I've only seen American Psycho out of those two. But that's baffling to me that wasn't appreciated back in the day. And I do want to just say, love that you mentioned Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, because I think people have now just gone, oh wait, the reason we liked the first film is because it took so much from these films and not for what it is itself. But yeah, spot on, Josh. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who wrote in with their thoughts. Thank you for getting involved. Listeners, you yourself can get involved if this is your first time listening, or if you've just been quietly playing our episodes, enjoying it passively
in the woodwork.
Yeah, and you wanna show your face and get involved, then you can do so by going to our social media channels. Instagram and TikTok are both at MovieOnUp, or you can email us at
hello@movieonup.com. We've also got a website, which is movieonup.com, and that has a player on. So if Spotify's down, you want to listen, you can just go on our website and listen. We're also on Apple Podcasts now, if that's any easier for anyone there. But yeah, thank you for listening to this hugely rambling review, but also I think quite concise, mate. I think we did quite well there. It was a mammoth task trying to talk about that one, but I think we did well there.
If we'd done it any quicker, we probably would have missed a lot out. So
yes. Spot on.
Yeah. What an insane film and release. It's going to stay with me for a while, I think. And you know what? Just to piss people off, it's in my top 10 of the year. You don't even need to. I'm not it's in my top 10 of the year. Sorry, but it will be. I'll look forward to that episode of this podcast where we do our top 10 of the year. That'll be fun. Because it's almost a year now, so we'll get to do that. That'll be really fun. Yeah, great. Amazing. Well, thank you very much for joining the call, Alfie. Thank you for battling COVID and doing a podcast. I'm going to edit out any of my coughs, don't you worry. Yeah. Or copy and paste them and put more in and then bass boost them. Put more in. You can make this podcast clean just by with all your coughs. If I don't see don't see you through the window, Adam. I'll see you. No, it's wrong. If I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the window.